how I got involved with the Rotary, I also want to thank those that are here and not here in terms of just physical or online to how I got involved with the Rotary. So first, Trish Borden, who's past president of her Rotary Club Auburn in Washington State, about a half hour south of Seattle. She's the one who asked me to get involved in Rotary 20 years ago, and I've had a chance to travel with her to Uganda to learn about Rotary internationally, and so she's my seed in terms of how this whole thing grew. And then John Inger, as well as Josh Sutton, past presidents of the Rotary Club of West Seattle, which was my first club for 9 years. Those are huge mentors for me, and I served on their board together, and they taught me a lot and brought me to where I am today in terms of our goals for this next year. Current past presidents I should say, from this club, Tom Matheson, Derek Ayton, Chelsea Doobie, now Neil Marchand, Ted Vecchio, Jim White. I'm probably missing a few other folks. People who have just been instrumental the last 6 months in meeting one-on-one to kind of create a game plan, to just friends that I've developed in the last 9 years. And so thank you so much for helping me kind of prepare for this launch into a new year with you guys. So wanted to talk about how I got involved in Rotary. We all have our own story on how we got involved with Rotary, and usually it's the power of someone asking you, like Trish Borden asked me 20 years ago. And the first nonprofit I worked with, so you know, I've always worked in nonprofit work, but I worked for Trillium Employment Services, greater Seattle area, starting in '98, and I was there for 12 years. That organization has been recognized in DC nationally over the years for innovative employment outcomes for adults with developmental disabilities. So they work with youth out of high school to adults that are 60, 70 years old, and they're working with all the common companies you would think of, from Boeing to Microsoft to small businesses, schools. And Partners for Work was a project that Trish had the idea during her presidency in her Rotary Club to start. Because Frank Devlin, who's a past RI president, probably, I'm going to say at least 25 years ago, from Mexico, had a vision based on his background, was working with Goodwill industry and training people, getting them ready for work. And Trish came along with her Trillium Employment Services and said, okay, internationally and domestically in the US, people are trained in some communities. Let's figure out how to put them to work through Rotarians as the door openers, no point intended down there. That was the mantra that we used. Rotarians can open doors to employment opportunities. That's how I got involved. I would work with clubs. I started with the Auburn Club. It expanded. Before I moved home 10 years ago, we were in 23 Rotary clubs in a district of 55 Rotary clubs. And clubs would have greeters at the front door. Imagine if we had someone here. It's really cool stuff. In fact, when I first joined this club, transferred in here, we did some mock interviews. In fact, Derek helped with his former employer recognize employers for hiring people with disabilities. And so it's a project that is a district project out there. It's been recognized by RI, and so that's really how I kind of launched my career into Rotary, so to speak. And I just learned yesterday in reaching out to those folks in Seattle that they have 32 of 45 clubs in that district actively involved in the project, and they've developed jobs for 132 people. So I'm just amazed to see that project go. And we always hear, right, good projects start with one person's idea in one club, and then it can, if it needs to grow and collaborate with other clubs, I mean, look at the power right there. So anyway, next slide, please. Got some about the background there with Rotary. Family to me is everything. It's why I moved back here 10 years ago. In fact, I had this idea in 2009, about 2 months before I met Katie, to make the move back here and leave Trillium. And of course, the economy, in some ways similar to today, friends out there and family here were, well, not family here, but friends were saying, what? You're gonna move to Michigan in 2009 and leave a job that I'm 12 years into? And it's because of these people. And so I met Katie 2 months later. Ironically, she lived out in Seattle. We never knew each other. She got her master's in teaching at University of Washington. She teaches here on the Lakeshore in Saugatuck. Really just finished 13 years, middle school science. And so that's Charlie, our son. Many of you guys know Charlie. My brother is the only one of my immediate family on the right there, the right picture, top right, does not live locally. He's in Illinois. And then my mom and dad down below are local. My sister on the left, Meg, is local. She teaches in East Grand Rapids at Breton Downs Elementary School, where I attended many, many moons ago. So that is my family, and if you follow me on Facebook, you'll always see pictures of family and beer, and that's kind of like what we do as a family. But I think it was Tom Matheson that said a couple of years ago, all I see is beer pictures. That's a good point, man. I better start cleaning up my act a little bit. So anyway, that's my family. I'm looking forward to having them come in the next year to meetings and getting to know you guys, because this is a family. And that kind of leads me into just some brief goals that I wanted to share with you guys, and we can talk more about it next month. There should be another slide here. If there is not, okay. So, pivoting. Yes, pivoting, it's on my phone. So, the two things that I really am ambitious about this year for our club is building off of the success with all of you and Neil's leadership. And so, the first one is, how can we, when we attracted 30 new members, and we retained, was it +5?
Net 7.
Net 7, thank you. Net 7. So how do we retain people, whether they're their first year in, or they've been sitting in this room for years, in terms of service? And service isn't just about going and cleaning up the river. I mean, there's magical things that are happening on the programming committee. I mean, I hear from people not in Rotary that we get amazing speakers here, right? How do we go about strengthening our committees so that other people on other committees know what each one is doing? I think during Chelsea's year, she did a great job of showcasing over a longer period of time, beyond one meeting, what different committees were doing, right? And we're so used to hearing outcomes. That's great, we need that data, but we also need to hear from members on committees that feel like their skills are being utilized and they're passionate about what they're doing. So I've talked to the membership committee, and there's some great plans that are going to be rolling out next year, where we're going to have 2-3 minutes up here before the key speaker and hear from someone from the 14 committees that we have around why they really feel like their time is being respected and making a difference in our membership as well as the community. I really do believe that helps with membership retention. That was something we did in West Seattle. Josh Sutton runs a couple Ys out there, and he said it's all about linking people's passion and their skill sets with the right committee. I mean, we've all been on the wrong committee. We've all been on the wrong board, right? And so I think it can be very subjective. And so I think we are going to come up with some measurable ways to do that. The second thing that I'm really excited about, Neil mentioned a new website. I've been talking to him the last year, as well as our amazing executive director, Dawn, about how to embrace technology. How can we utilize technology so that it's simple and we can engage, retain our members, and also get more out of what we're doing. So we're going to have a plugin available. It's called Charitable. Other nonprofits, big name nonprofits, small nonprofits have used this before, and it's basically going to be an opportunity for us to click through our website from our phones as well as online to learn about projects that we're doing. Have a page designated to international service. Have a page designated to what we've done in response to COVID. The list goes on. But right now, we don't really have videos telling the impact of what we're doing. So think about how tough it was to run that video a minute ago and then simplifying it. And whether you're giving money or giving your time or networking with a fellow Rotarian for a business lead, we want to have our website and our phones be an easier way to drive people's functionality for their interests. And so there's more to come on that, but when our board met last week, we went through multiple RFPs for enhancing and implementing a new website. So that's going to happen in the near future. We're really excited about that. So please feel free to come talk to me, talk to other people on the board, talk to committee chairs. If you have questions, ideas, how to make it better, we welcome all your input. So that's what I had for that. I also wanted to say that if you guys ever need to get a hold of me, you can call me anytime you want. I'm very accessible. And I really believe in communication. I feel like
take that one back, John.
every year we have a new person standing up here, and a former RI president told me in Seattle 15 years ago, whether you're president or not, the most important thing in Rotary is communication. And there's always communication breakdowns on a committee, on a board, in a meeting. Just text me, call me, and I'm 9 times out of 10 I won't have the answer, but I'm here for you guys. And so, yeah, Katie's gonna be killing me in about 3 months. Anyhow, so how are we doing on time? Should we? Time to move on. Okay. So announcements.
President of the boards.
Thank you very much. So, for those online and those in person, could you please stand to be recognized if you're on our incoming board of directors for our club, or raise your hand if you're online. The 2021 board